Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see about the visibility control in Java. It is also called as an access modifiers. First of all, we should know what is an access modifier or access specifier. Actually, what is an access? Access is an reachability. Every data or method or members, they have some level of access, and that access can be modified or can be changed through some keywords. That is called as an access modifier. Now let us see one by one what are all the access modifiers and where they can be used. The access modifiers in Java specifies the accessibility or the scope of a field, method, constructor or a class. Here the accessibility means by which we can reach the data, and the scope is the area in which the data or the member is accessible. So here this accessibility can be specified for a field. Field means a member or a method or a constructor or a class. Okay, now how we can change this access level? By using this access modifiers. So this modifiers can be used for the fields or the constructors or the methods or the class. Here fields are the members or the data, and by applying the access modifier on it, the level of access can be varied. There are four types of Java access modifiers. They are private, default, protected and public. Let us see one by one what these access modifiers mean. So first is the private. The access level of a private modifier is only within the class. It cannot be accessed from outside the class. Here this means this data is accessible. When it is specified as a private inside a class, this is accessible only within the class, inside the class, and not outside the class at any cost. That is called as a private. This helps to make the data secure. Next one is default. The access level of a default modifier is only within the package. It cannot be accessed from outside the package. If you do not specify any access level, it will be the default. Here, what is the package? This package is a collection of classes. Here, when you say the access level is default, then it cannot be accessed from outside the package, but it can be accessed inside the package. That means within the package. Next one is protected. The access level of a protected modifier is within the package and outside the package through the child class. Actually, what does it mean is, if you want to access the protected data, it is accessible within the package but also outside the package. But how it can be accessed outside the package? By through the child class. That means we have to define a child class for the parent class, and from that child class we can access this data when it is specified using the protected modifier. If you do not make the child class, it cannot be accessed from outside the package. So unless otherwise the package have a the class have a child class, this type of classes cannot be accessed outside the package. That means it is always accessible inside the package, which is protected inside the package. But in order to make it outside accessible, it should be given a child class. Next one is public. The access level of a public modifier is everywhere. That means any data, this data which is declared public, whether it is a data or a member or a method, it can be accessed from anywhere. That is called as a public. It can be accessed from within the class, outside the class, within the package and outside the package. So the whole visibility is given when we are declaring the visibility as a public. Now let us see with the diagram how it is specified to understand the concept shortly. As a shortcut, we can use this type tabular column to remember the access specifiers. So the access modifiers are private, default, protected and public. Now where it can be accessible? Within the class, within the package, outside the package by subclass only, or outside the package. So we are having four range. So within the class, whenever you're using any modifier, whether it is private, default, protected or public, the particular data is accessible. There's a data or a member or a method, they are all accessible within the class. That means within the class there is no restriction to access those data. So that is called as an access specifier, which is whether it is private, default, protected or public, whatever the specifier mentioned, that data is accessible within the class. Next one is within the package. Here only no here is for the private. The data is declared private, it cannot be accessed within the package, but it can be accessed. If it is default, it can be accessed, and it is protected or public. For these three cases, the data can be accessed within the package. Only cases the private. If it is private, only within the class we can access. We cannot access within the package, or we cannot access outside the package by subclass, or we cannot access outside the package. Next one is the outside package by the subclass only. So when you can derive a subclass for a parent class, in that case we can use this access modifiers to access the data outside the package. So where it is possible? It is possible when we are giving the protected and the public access specifier. So if it is private or if it is default, those data or method cannot be accessed. Okay, even though, so here this cannot be accessed outside the package. Then coming to the next case of outside the package, only for the public specifier, those data or the method can be accessible outside the package. Otherwise it cannot be accessible neither in the private, default or protected specifiers. So here this outside the package means the data which is declared in one package cannot be accessed in the from the outside package if it is mentioned as private, default or protected. If it is public, they can be accessible everywhere. So this is the way to understand this tabular column. So we can either learn and understand this concept by row wise or column wise. So access specifier for all the cases within the class is possible, within the package private is not possible, outside the package by subclass private and default is not possible, and outside the package if it is not possible for all the cases private, default and protected. Otherwise we can understand this tabular column by this way. If it is a private, it is accessible only within the class, not within the package, not outside the package by subclass or not outside the package. If it is default, it is accessible by within the class or within the package, but not in outside the package by subclass or outside the package by outside the package. If it is protected, it is accessible within the class, within the package and also within the outside the package by the child class, but it is not in the outside the class. And if it is the public, it can be accessible by within the class or within the package or outside the package by subclass or totally from outside the package. These are all the concept of the access specifiers: private, default, protected and public. So this specifier helps to access the data beyond the scope of the data which is specified. And thanks for watching.